This will be a spoiler review for the film Queen and Slim. I borrowed this one from the library, but it's also on Amazon Prime, so that's how I watched it. This movie, this is going to be a long video. So this movie, I saw a trailer with my friend. It looked interesting. It's like basically the concept is Black Bonnie and Clyde, or Black Thelma and Louise. So this is about Queen and Slim. They're not really given names, so I'm going to refer to those names. They are having a Tinder date in a diner. We find out, Queen is kind of stuck up. She's a lawyer. She's feeling sad, so she decided to go out with this guy just because she didn't want to be alone, not particularly hungry or she just wanted his company basically without any attachments or anything. And, she harps on him for picking such a shitty diner. But then he goes, oh, well, it's black owned, so she relents. And Slim, he's a bit more laid back. We get a quick, simple, with one conversation and one scene in a diner, we pretty much get the setup. He's laid back, she's more uptight. They're living in Ohio, the death penalty exists. So while they're on the way home, he's fishing for some sex, and she goes, nah. So she grabs his phone to do the GPS, he grabs it back, he swerves a little. They get pulled over by a police officer who seems a little bit angry and jumpy. And, she's getting pissed because, he's sort of, giving them the third degree until, Slim says, hey, can we hurry it up, man? Because I don't have anything illegal, it's cold and he just wants to go home. And the cop all of a sudden freaks out on him and pulls a gun on him. So after a scuffle, the police officer shoots and grazes Queen. Slim's able to fight him off and accidentally kills him with his own gun. And so she grabs the gun and convinces him that they have to just leave because they're not going to get a fair deal, right? They shot a cop. So they quickly jump in the car and drive. And she convinces him not to go home, not to turn himself in. They're in it together now. They're just going to have to drive. And just drive and just come up with a plan later. So, tangent, Alfred Hitchcock once said that if you're a filmmaker and someone watches your movie but doesn't notice a plot hole till after the movie's over, when they're at home getting a midnight snack in the middle of the night and they go, how did that guy do that? You've succeeded, because they didn't notice the plot hole during the movie. They noticed it after. So that means that during the movie they were entertained and it didn't really bother them. For me though, watching Queen and Slim, I kept seeing glaring plot holes over and over. Just a lot of cringeworthy moments. Because the concept is really good. It's basically, what if, two black people accidentally killed a police officer? And so they go on the run, but she keeps the gun, which is the dumbest thing they could easily do. But however, they're almost arrested by a sheriff. So they're able to take him hostage with a gun, leave him in a trunk somewhere, and basically keep going as they hop through different states. Because they're in Ohio, they're trying to make their way to her uncle. So they finally, start meeting people. There are people along the way that help them. There's her uncle. And one of the big glaring errors is that she's supposed to be an attorney. She's supposed to have this giant, brain about the law. Go to law school, get that degree, get all the license and everything. But then we find out later that that cop was racist. And it just seemed a little weird that she would convince him to not turn himself in and go to the police, because they automatically assume that they'll get a raw deal because, they're in a death penalty state. But, it felt a little false that, she's an attorney and she's giving him bad legal advice. And then, of course, there's no reason feasibly for them to take the gun either. But if they didn't take the gun, the movie would have ended and the sheriff would have taken them in. So there are a lot of different parts of this movie that feel like it's bending over backwards to continue its own plot. There's a lot of parts in this movie where, if they didn't do this, then the movie's over. For example, there's a scene where they're running out of gas. So they don't have any money because they were in a hurry when they ditched the sheriff and stole his truck. So they go into a gas station, there's no one there, and Slim is told to go in and rob the guy and get gas. So Slim goes in there and goes, I want gas, shows the butt of the Glock. And the kid goes, ooh, you're the two from the shooting. I won't tell anyone about, you being here, and I'll pay for your gas, but I want to hold that gun because it killed someone. And which is an odd request. He's a very morbid teenager. And Slim, I thought he was going to take the bullets out and then let the kid hold the gun. What does Slim do? He hands the gun with the bullets over to this stranger that he's never met. And there's this, tense scene where it looks like the kid's going to shoot him with the gun. And then he goes, nah, I'm just messing with you. I'll pay for your gas. Don't worry about it. The movie could have ended right there, because we find out later that there's a $250,000 bounty on both of them. And, a kid could have got $500,000. Or the kid could have just, wanted to do the right thing, kept Slim there, at gunpoint, called 911, run out there, shoot the tires of the truck, they'd be helpless. The movie's over. But he doesn't, because the plot decides that the movie's not going to be over at that junction. And of course, it's just ridiculous that, Slim would just hand over the gun like that. But after that scene happened, my hopes for this movie kind of nosedived a little bit. They finally meet her uncle, and he helps them out, but they have to leave quickly. There's some history with them because she was able to get him off of a jail time charge because he killed her mother in a drunken rage, but she was able to defend him. Another false beat, because I don't think they allow new lawyers to represent their own family members, because conflict of interest, right? I mean, I'm not sure about that, but it seemed a little bit fantastical, because she said it was her first case and she needed to, save the life of her uncle, and, he owes her. So now that she's a fugitive, he's going to help her. And he's also a criminal too, probably. So they have to go on the run again, and they find another one of her uncle's friends, and they stay with them for a short while. And they almost get caught by the police, but a police officer ends up just letting them go, risking his whole career because he's black and angry. And okay, I'll buy that. But overall, the movie ends on a very pretentious note. They finally get to their final contact. Some guy they don't know puts a shotgun up to them and says, hey, I can get the plane, let's go. And, as they're walking to the tarmac, they're literally like, 20 feet, 30 feet away from the plane. The plane is on, the propeller is going. And they turn around and the police are there in full force. There's like 10 cop cars and they all have guns and they're all like ready to mow them down. And, they're not showing any aggression. They don't have the gun in their hand or anything. And I'm surprised they're not running for the plane, because it's a small seaplane that could just turn around and leave. And so we're assuming that, the plane was a setup and the plane's not going to take them anywhere. And that final contact ended up betraying them. And so Queen and Slim end up walking towards the police for no reason. They're not going to surrender. They know that, if they get taken alive, they're probably going to not get their fair shake, because they've been kidnapping and stealing and doing all this stuff to escape justice. So she gets shot, killed, he picks her up, walks into the cops, they gun him down too. Movie's over. Also forgot to mention there's a scene where they meet a kid who's the son of a mechanic fixing their car. He shoots the officer in the face and then gets shot himself to, sort of play up the whole us versus them, police versus black people type thing. So the biggest problem I had with Queen and Slim is the pacing. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where they just stop and go for, a burger or go dancing or do this or that. And you could say that, oh, well, that doesn't matter, because even if they took a month to get to the plane, that the last guy ended up betraying them anyway. But, it also just didn't ring true. If you're fugitives, you don't stop for sex or do whatever the hell you want. Usually you kind of drive, pee in the bottle kind of thing, You don't take your time because, every time they get to a new ally to help them, the cops are already there, as if, they're so close, and they're like, oh, let's just stop and, do this. And that's another terrible pacing thing, because after the whole gas station scene, the movie just seems to go on a tangent and slow down. And, there's that scene where they have to stop because their car is damaged, so they have to get it fixed. And then a lot of detours, the pacing of the movie starts to slow down, and then the movie is over 2 hours long. It's a very long film. The acting's really good from everyone, especially the main woman. But, the movie just feels so false because all these plot holes were happening, and I could easily recognize them while watching, and it was irritating me the whole time. And there was also, the message of, distrust of the police, and things like that. But it came off as really pretentious because they automatically assume that, oh man, if we just stand here wait for police, they're just going to shoot us and just kill us. And so they take the gun and go on the run because, you know, the plot demands that they do. And there are multiple instances in the film where the movie would have ended, but so the movie bends itself in order to, you know, allow them to keep going until it doesn't want them to anymore. You know, the movie wouldn't be powerful if they were, you know, on a plane headed to Cuba going, sweet, we escaped, now we have to go get new lives, because, you know, that wouldn't serve, you know, the message. And a lot of people like the movie because, you know, it's of the themes and things like that, but I felt the movie was really pretentious and it was trying way too hard, and a lot of unrealism in the film, you know, and it kind of took me out of it. Even though, you know, the performances were good, the direction was fine, the music was really good too. I also liked the acting from Bokeem Woodbine, and yeah, just overall the movie just didn't sit well with me because it was just trying way too hard. And the pacing was bad, and just it felt like the movie kept getting worse as it was going along, because like the first scene is very tight, you know, we kind of get a view of who they are and, you know, where they are, and then all of a sudden something really bad happens. But then instead of, you know, him convincing her, because she's a lawyer, you know, she'd probably be like, all right, I'll lawyer up, man, you know, I'm an attorney, I can, you know, already start building a defense in my head, I'll get you off, you know. She convinces him to just run, and then, you know, that gets them deep further in crap, and if they don't take the gun, then they get caught, so they take the gun, they start using the gun, they start making all these mistakes and detours, and just the movie just kept going, and it fell apart at the end there, and they don't explain, you know, what was going on with that final guy with the money and everything. And so overall the movie just, it tried really hard, and it, you know, it is a movie, but I just felt it was just all over the place, really. And so overall, Queen and Slim, I don't recommend it. You know, I have to give it a lower rating because I just didn't like, you know, where it went. So I give Queen and Slim a 3.5 out of 10.